Gear up for the discovery of the unknown. Hike with me to places full of legends and myths. I'm the traveling scholar, and this is my journey. The Tuatha Dé Dannan came from the north, where they studied druidic arts and witchcraft. They made an alliance with the Fómhoire. Of this alliance Lugh, the long arm, was born. They came to Ireland on big ships, and some say with a great mist. Upon reaching Connemara, they burned their ships to prevent themselves from fleeing. From their studies they brought 4 things with them. The stone of Fómhoire, which was located in Tara. It used to cry out beneath every king that would take Ireland. The spear which Lugh had, no battle was ever sustained against it, or against the man who held it in his hand. The sword of Nuadu, no one ever escaped from it once it was drawn from its deadly sheath, and no one could resist it. And the Dagda's cauldron, no company ever went away from it unsatisfied. Then the first Battle of Moytura was fought between them and the Firbolg. The latter were defeated. No other's hand was cut off in that battle, but a silver one was given to him. This, however, led to him losing his kingship of Tuatha Dé Dannan. He was no longer without blemish, no longer a perfect king. Bres was chosen to rule over them. This was also to straighten the alliance with the Fómhoire, since his father was their king. Now about the conception of Bres. One day Eriu, one of the Tuatha Dé Dannan, was looking at the sea, and the sea was perfectly calm. However, she saw a silver boat with a beautiful man in it. It was the king of the Fómhoire, Eletha. They conceived a child, and his name was Bres, that is, Bres the Beautiful, because everything beautiful in Ireland would have been compared to him. The boy grew fast, and after just 7 years he reached the growth of 14. Then he was given a kingship. But after that happened, 3 kings of the Fómhoire imposed their tribute upon Ireland. Warriors were made servants, and even smoke from a house should have been paid for. The Dagda, the good god, was tormented by a man named Crídhanbhal, whose mouth grew out of his chest. The man was demanding food from the Dagda's plate and threatening to satirize him. Then Mac said to feed gold coins to Crídhanbhal, hence killing him with the best food in the house and avoiding punishment. Life under Bres was full of hardship. Tuatha were working hard. However, their knives were not greased, their breaths didn't smell of ale, they didn't see their poets, nor their bards, nor their harpers, nor their jugglers, nor their fools entertaining them in the household. Once a poet came to the house of Bres seeking hospitality. He entered a narrow, black, dark little house, and there was neither fire nor furniture nor bedding in it. 3 small cakes were brought to him on a little dish, and they were dry. The next day he rose, and he was not thankful. As he went across the yard he said, Bres's prosperity no longer exists, and that was true. There was only blight on him from that hour. After that the Tuatha took his kingship away from him. Bres fled to the Fómhoire to ask for their help in gaining his kingship by force. His father was sad about him and reprimanded him for being a bad king. However, other Fómhoire kings and the horrendous champion Balor gathered an army. That host was the most terrifying Ireland had ever seen. Meanwhile, Nuada's arm was restored, and he was once more in the kingship over the Tuatha. At that time he held a great feast for the Tuatha in Tara. Now there was a certain warrior whose name was Samildanoch, or the one who was equally skilled in every art, or Lugh the Lone Hand, on his way to Tara. He was questioned at the great doors what skills he brought to the king. Samildanoch possessed the skills and talents of every person inside the fort. Then the doorkeeper went to the royal hall and told everything to the king. "A warrior has come before the court," he said, "named Samildanoch. And all the arts which help your people, he practiced them all, and that he is the man of each and every art." Then that was related to Nuada. "Let him into the court," said Nuada, "for a man like that has never before come into the fortress." Having such a warrior on his side, Nuada decided it was the perfect time to battle the Fómhoire and release them from the hardship of the tribute. The council lasted a year. Then the Dagda met a woman who was washing clothes in a river, with legs on opposite banks of it. The Dagda spoke with her, and they united. The bed of the couple was the name of that place from that time on. And the woman was Mórrígan. She told the Dagda where the enemies would land, and that she would kill their king Cath Maige Tuiread, and would take from him the blood of his heart and the kidneys of his valor. Then Lugh sent the Dagda to spy on the Fómhoire and to delay them until the men of Ireland came to the battle. The Dagda went to the Fómhoirian camp and asked them for a truce of battle. This was granted to him as he asked. The Fómhoire made porridge for him to mock him, because his love of porridge was great. They filled for him the king's cauldron, which was 5 fists deep, and poured 80 gallons of new milk, and the same quantity of meal and fat into it. They put goats and sheep and swine into it, and boiled them all together with the porridge. Then they poured it into a hole in the ground. And Indir said to him that he would be killed unless he consumed it all. Then the Dagda took his ladle, and it was big enough for a man and a woman to lie in the middle of it. At the end he scraped his bent finger over the bottom of the hole among mold and gravel. The Fómhoire advanced until their tents were in Skedne. The men of Ireland were in Mag Aurfolig. At this point these two hosts were threatened in battle. Then the men of rank among Tuatha were assembled around Lugh. He asked his smith, Gaivnu, what power he wielded for them. "Not hard to say," he said. "Even if the men of Ireland continue to battle for 7 years, for every spear that separated from its shaft or sword that will break in battle, I will provide a new weapon in its place." "And you, Dian Cecht," said Lugh, "what power do you wield?" "Not hard to say," he said. "Any man who will be wounded there, unless his head is cut off, or the membrane of his brain or his spinal cord is severed, I will make him perfectly whole in the battle on the next day." "And you, Mórrígan," said Lugh, "what power?" "Not hard to say," she said. "I have stood fast. I shall pursue what was watched. I will be able to kill. I will be able to destroy those who might be subdued." "And you, sorceress," said Lugh, "what power?" "Not hard to say," said the sorceress. "Their white souls will be visible after they have been overthrown by our craft, so that they can easily be killed. And we will take 2/3 of their strength from them." "And you, Druid," said Lugh, "what power?" "Not hard to say. We will bring showers of fire upon the faces of the Fómhoire, so they cannot look up, and the warriors contending with them can use their force to kill them." "And you, witches," said Lugh, "what can you do in the battle?" "Not hard to say," they said. "We will enchant the trees and the stones and the swords of the earth, so that they will be a host under arms against them. And they will scatter and fly, terrified and trembling." Lugh was urging the men of Ireland to fight the battle fiercely, so they should not be in bondage any longer. because it was better for them to find death while protecting their fatherland than to be in bondage and under tribute as they had been. Then Lugh chanted the spell, going around the men of Ireland on one foot and with one eye closed. The hosts gave a great shout as they went into battle. Then they came together, and each of them began to strike the other. Many beautiful men fell there in the stall of death. Great was the slaughter and the grave lying which took place there. Pride and shame were there side by side. There was anger and indignation. Abundant was the stream of blood over the white skin of young warriors mangled by the hands of bold men while rushing into danger for shame. Harsh was the noise made by the multitude of warriors and champions protected their swords and shields and bodies while others were striking them with spears and swords. Harsh too was the tumult over the battlefield, the shouting of the warriors and the clashing of bright shields, the swish of swords and ivory-hilted blades, the clatter and rattling of the quivers, the hum and whir of spears and javelins, the crashing strokes of weapons. As they hacked at each other, their fingertips and their feet almost met, and because of the slipperiness of the blood under the warriors' feet, they kept falling down, and their heads were cut off. A gory, wound-inflicting, sharp, bloody battle was upheaved, and spear shafts were reddened in the hands of foes. Then Nuada Silverhand and Maha fell at the hands of Balor. Lugh and Balor of the piercing eye met in the battle. The latter had a destructive eye which was never opened except on the battlefield. 4 men would raise the lid of the eye by a polished ring in its lid. The host which looked at that eye, even if there were many thousands in number, would offer no resistance to warriors. The lid was raised from Balor's eye. Then Lugh cast a sling stone at him which carried the eye through his head, and it was his own host that looked at it. He fell on top of the Fómhoirian host, so that 27 of them died under his side. Afterwards, the Fómhoire was driven to the sea. Then it was the time to kill Bres. However, he pleaded with Tuired. In order to be spared, he was asked by Lugh, "How shall the men of Ireland plough? How shall they sow? How shall they reap? If you make known these things, you will be saved." His response was, "Say to them, on Tuesday they ploughing, on Tuesday they sowing seeds in the field, on Tuesday they are reaping." So he was spared. After the battle, Mórrígan announced a great victory and prophesied, "Peace up to heaven, heaven down to earth, earth beneath heaven, strength in each, a cup very full, full of honey, meat in abundance." But she also prophesied the end of the world, foretelling every evil that would occur then, and every disease, and every vengeance, and she chanted the following poem: "I shall not see a world which will be dear to me. Summer without blossoms, cattle will be without milk, women without modesty, men without valor, conquests without a king, woods without fruit, sea without produce." The end. Upon your arrival in Dublin, you can choose 2 options. Go either to Sligo or Roscommon, cities, not counties. I use the Roscommon way. From there you can take a bus to Boyle. There are beautiful ruins of a monastery there. From Boyle you can hike to Lugh and Moytura, where the most famous battle to rule Ireland happened. To get to the place full of mythology, you'll need to hike for about 13 to 17 kilometers, depending on the final destination. There are two options. Up the hill with virtually no traffic, but if you have a heavy rucksack it might be challenging. Or N61 and then N4 roads. Both are more or less safe, since they have plenty of space on both sides to walk. Then you will come to several rural roads you can take to the lake and further. There is a caravan park allowing tents on the shore of Lugh, roughly 7 kilometers from N4. They also keep B&B. No shops for kilometers around, so bring your food with you, or there is a small selection of necessities at the caravan park reception office. The staff are incredibly nice and helpful. However, it might be a bit loud at night because the main public is fishermen coming and going to the lake. As usual, there are no safe water sources on your way to the campsite or to the plain, but you can replenish your supply at the caravan park. If it's a 2-day ordeal and you stay for a night in a tent or B&B, the next day you'll need to go up the hill to the plain. There are several things to see there. The historic path will lead you to the famous Slabby Rock, an ancient dolmen standing in a field, unfortunately full of cows, hence closed with a wire and no trespassing implied. On your way up or down, you will pass by the ruins of Ballindoon Dominican Priory, if this is something that you have interest in. There are also several prehistoric structures there on the plain. Moytura East Court Tomb and Raths or ring forts in Barrow North, one of which is called Lugh's Seat. From the lake shore or from the hill you can see the Carrow Kill Cairns on the opposite side of Lugh, and that can be your next trip. Every mythology is incredibly specific when it comes to places. It pinpoints and gives clear instructions about the past of the mountain ranges, valleys, strange stones, ancient buildings, and so on. Irish mythology is not an exception. It gives names of real places in Ireland where wars of the gods happened, or where Diarmid and Gráinne rested, for example. Moytura now is an unremarkable place, to be honest. It is known by few and there is no infrastructure for tourists coming to see the plain. The area is known for fishing and caters accordingly. Not many people even in the area would know that it was the place of the most important battle in the mythology of Ireland. It is a peaceful and beautiful place to visit on your feet. It is easier to do it by car, but we are not here to seek the easiest ways by exchanging them for the views and the time we can spend thinking and daydreaming. Please don't daydream while driving a car. We are here to walk the paths of the previous generations, and to trace legends and myths, and to enjoy ourselves in the process. That's it for me. Bike folklings, and make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos on hiking and folklore. Slán!